What's good? What's good? What's good, Rich? Hey, Rich. Hey, man. My bad. I got the message mixed up from Lucy, man. I appreciate you, bro. You know you can hit my email and holler. Lisa, how you doing? Appreciate y'all pulling up season 2 of the Skinnosphere podcast, man. Make sure you make yourself at home. We got Stan from Iron Sharp K9 here. Feel like this is going to be a great interview. You're going to be able to see him in a light that you've never seen him in before. And we'll be taking all questions at the end. But how was y'all Monday going?
Dang, son, where'd you find this?
Anybody that needs some tips on dog training, anything of that nature, I got a man, the only man I ever seen that can train a cat. That's right, train a cat. So this here is gonna be real interesting. But I'm glad that y'all could pull up, take a sit down, and if you're picking up what I'm putting down, hit the subscribe button and stick around, man. We got Stan from Iron Sharp K9. Iron Sharp K9. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe up. And I'm a real positive brother. Love the channel. He partners up with Fit Bully TV a lot. Both of them positive channels, and you get more out of the channel than just dog content. So yeah, appreciate y'all pulling up, man. We know we got Monday Night Raw on as well as Monday Night Football, so gonna try not to keep you that long. You feel me? So without further ado, we're gonna get this here interview started. Stan Smith from Iron Sharp K9. He has been on America's Top Dog. Not only has he been on America's Top Dog, he's won America's Top Dog, and he's been on ESPN as well. From Fort Worth, Texas, my personal homeboy. So we're gonna bring him to the stage. None other than Stan Smith from Iron Sharp K9. Y'all give it up for Stan.
Hey, what's up? What's up, everybody? How are y'all?
Hey, what's good, man? What's good? There he is right there, Stan from Iron Sharp K9. And he has, I guess, maybe about to become one of the most famous cats on YouTube. What's good,
Yeah,
Stan?
man, I can't complain. Life's good. Figuring out all this business stuff, making sure these dogs is worked, taking care of these dogs and these cats, apparently.
Tell us, man, tell us. What even gave you the idea that you could train a cat?
So we went out to Vegas and there was an event called Super Zoo. And we were out there talking to a bunch of different people and we met this guy. I think his name is the original Trap King and he trains cats.
Hmm.
So we were talking back and forth with him and then he showed us a video where he had a cat hitting a bell and I was like, "Huh. I got 3 cats at home. Let me see what I could do." Cuz at the end of the day it's just communicating with an animal. You have to do it completely different than dealing with a dog. So I've liked it. It's actually made you be more patient. You got to actually slow down. You can't force them to do anything. You got to motivate them. And they're a whole lot more temperamental and moody than a dog for sure.
So are they also like treat motivated?
Yes, they love some treats. And cats are true carnivores, so they like those meaty treats. So I use those full moon. And when we first started with him, he'd be biting my fingers because my hands smelled like it. So he's getting to the point now he's understanding, all right, this is a finger, this is a treat. But no, they're definitely food motivated. So it makes it pretty easy. And they also have prey drive. I got a flirt pole and they were chasing it around the other day. So I was like, all right, this could be fun. We're gonna make a protection kitty.
That's interesting. That's interesting. So, Stan, Give the people a little insight on, um, your upbringing, your early, and what got you into dogs. Your love for dogs.
Man, so growing up, my dad was military, so we moved around a lot. So I learned to adapt into different situations. So I don't really have a home, but I know a lot of different people, and they say home is where the heart is. So I'm glad the upbringing that I was brought up, because I can relate to a lot of different people, everybody from a janitor to a CEO. So it helps me in that aspect. And then I played sports growing up. That's just what I did from, I think I was dribbling a basketball before I could even walk, pretty much. So sports has always been in my blood. I love competition, um, figuring out problem solving, everything that sports teaches you. And then when I was in college, I actually tore my meniscus and I wasn't even able to walk. I couldn't compete anymore. And then, like we had talked about earlier, I kind of got a little sad and in a depression because I couldn't be me anymore. So fast forward a couple years, I ended up with this dog named Rocco, and he kept me out of places. He brought me out
Back
of
it
that
back.
dark place.
I want to backtrack it a little bit. When you tore your meniscus, you was in
Hmm.
college.
Yeah, I was running track in college.
Was it a tear to the fact where you felt like you would never ever get back normal? Was it Was it more psychological, or was it physical? Or
I think it was a little of both. I mean, was 19, I believe. So when you're 19, you really feel like you're Superman.
right?
And up until that point, we've been Superman. We've never been injured, never did this, competed at a high level, and then you would take one wrong step, and then your knee is gone. And we were actually playing football. I mean, we were playing catch on some football down at Texas Tech, and I just jumped up and came down, and I stepped in a pothole and hyperextended. The next day, it swole up like a water balloon, and I'm like, yeah, I can't bend my leg no more. So I didn't think nothing of it. Iced it, compressed it. The swelling went down, and I kept competing on it. And then one day we were lifting weights, and I'm like, man, this hurts. I can't squat. I can't do nothing. And the coach actually thought I was faking. He was like, "Oh, you're faking because you don't want to work out." And I'm like, "Nah, that's never been me. If we're competing, I'm not faking to get out of nothing." Like, so ended up getting a CAT scan on it, and it was tore just enough that they could repair it, which, hindsight being 2020, I wish they probably would have scoped it. I would have came back quicker
Mm-hmm.
and been able to recover. But when they repaired it, I couldn't walk for a whole month. I was on crutches, I lost a lot of muscle tone, lost a lot of strength. And yeah, that psychology part, when you're like, dang, I used to be able to do anything I want. Now I can't even hold my lunch tray in the
Mm.
cafeteria because I'm on crutches. So I mean, it was a huge flip, going from being independent on your own to now you have to ask people to hold your tray for you. So when I came back, I I was still fast, but I was 4 seconds slower than I was when I wasn't trying. And now I was giving everything that I had, and I was 4 seconds slower. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if I can come back from this, because at that point, it's like, what am I doing? I was running faster when I wasn't trying. Now I'm trying, and I can't. So all that ended up happening. It really affected me mentally. I started going, more reclusive. I didn't really like fuck with anybody. I just kind of was to myself. And that's not really what you need in those situations.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thankful for it,
So
because
you
if
just
probably if I
decided,
didn't.
yo, I'm just done with track. I'm not coming back to school.
Well, we made some decisions when we was in college, and they kind of caught up to us,
Uh huh.
and we ended up getting our scholarship pooled because
Okay.
of that. But I think they were looking for a reason, because I couldn't compete anymore, so it just kind of helped them get me out of there. Let's just say it like that. In college, track is a business. It's not a sport no more. So if you can't produce, if you can't bring points, they're gonna replace you, and that's kind of what happened. And that affected me mentally as well, because man, 2 weeks before I tore my meniscus or hurt myself, like I was God's gift to the track team. I was coach's favorite, da 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 da, because I was gonna be putting up points. And as soon as you get hurt, they're like, all right, on to the next. So
Yeah.
I think everything happens for a reason. If I didn't go through those situations, I wouldn't be here today because I don't know if I would have even gotten a dog after that. So I left college. I had my little girl at that time, so I had to start working. Had my own little apartment, and when we were in school, we would just get little $50 dogs or whatever, but they would always get breed restrictions, so you ended up having to get rid of them, and it was a whole process. And then when I went to Louisiana Tech, we ended up I paid $350 for this pit bull, papered AKC. He was gonna be a monster, big old dog too. And all we did was hang out. He was cool, he was, social, but he had no commands, he had no recall, and he ran out the front door one day. And I did what everybody, I'm gonna go chase my dog to get him. And he kept going and going and going, and ended up getting hit by a car probably less than 3 feet away from me.
Mm.
So, that fucked me up as well. It's like, dang, I lost my dog. So then, I didn't have a dog for probably, let's say, 6 months or so. Then I moved back home, and I was at my parents' house, trying to figure out what the next move was, what's the next step, and ended up getting another Craigslist dog. But it was just, she was a good dog. It was a little mutt, um, good dog, house
So
dog.
when you speak of Craigslist dogs, it's basically, yo, do you want a dog? Like, just come get a dog. We got dogs.
Yeah, them $50
Yeah.
ads, no
No
parents,
papers, no nothing. Yeah.
yeah, nah, these dogs ain't got no shots, no
Yeah.
nothing. Like they probably Dalmatian mixes and everything else, but hey, it was a good dog. And actually that dog is, I think she's about 14 years old now, and she's still ticking. She graded them up, but my parents still have her. When I moved out, they were like, nah, you Dream is staying here, you got to get a different dog. So then me and my brother, again, we went back to Craigslist because I wasn't paying thousands of dollars for a dog back in the day.
Fact.
So we went and got these two dogs, and they were okay. But again, you get what you pay for sometimes. And they had issues. They didn't have as much confidence. They had littermate syndrome, all of the different things, and ended up giving that dog to my mom as well. And I found this guy around the corner, and he just had this little puppy, and it was Rocco. And he brought him out, looked like a little teddy bear, man. I was like, man, that's a good looking dog. And he was like, $100, you can have him. And I said, bet, let's do it. So when I brought him home, knowing everything that I know now with the dogs, that dog was super confident. He walked around like he owned the place. His tail was up. He was cocky, had drive, like everything that you would look for in a dog. And back then, I had no clue. I just liked how he looked. So for the first 2 years of his life, all we did was hang out, and if my dog couldn't go somewhere, I literally didn't go. Like I'm like, hey, I'm finna go to this guy's house. If I can't bring my dog bed, I'm not going.
Hmm.
My barber, he would even cut my hair outside because they were like, no, that dog can't come in here. I'm like, all right, cool. Can you cut me outside? So it kept me out of some places, and then it really shows you who really is rocking with you, because it's like, bro, why are you worried about this dog? He ain't even worried about you. He ain't even looked at you the whole time he's been here. Unless you mean harm to me, this dog is not gonna even care about you. Like, so do you have something to tell me at that point? So first 2 years we just hung out. We developed a real tight relationship and a bond. And like, again, he was very athletic, so I'd put stuff on mailboxes, trees. We'll go to playgrounds, and like, I just wanted to see if he could do it. I thought it was cool, and he would do it. And he was like, oh, you like it? I can do better than this. So then when we actually got into like formal training, it was just like, hey, I can actually direct him to what I want him to do. And if I show him, hey, I really like this, and do it again and just keep up it in the ante, the sky was literally the limit for Rocco. And when I got him, America's Top Dog was never on my radar. Having a following was never on my radar. Being influential or impactful to the dog community, like, that was never my intention when I got the dog. I just wanted a dog that didn't die. I could call that dog back, is why I got into the training in the first place. And then everything else was just like, it just made sense. It reminded me of athletics. It reminded me of sports. So I was like, man, we can do a lot of stuff. And then we got to the point where we were actually helping other people, reach their goals and their dreams. So then it was like, dang, it's actually even bigger than me. So it's been a fun ride.
So
I never
this was
expected none of this.
all when you got Rocco. Um, this was before you got into the training part. like of
Mhm.
becoming a trainer. So
Yeah.
basically, you just started training Rocco on recall because of what happened to your other dog.
Hmm. Yep. And then I used to referee basketball games, and like the PetSmart schedule never worked out because it would be on the same nights of my games. So I'm like, well, I can't afford to spend money and not go make money. So I'm like, hey, that never worked out. And I found this guy, and he was doing protection training. And I'm like, hey, that looks cool. And he was relatively affordable. So I was like, man, I got my taxes back. I took, paid my little bills what I needed to. Had about $700-800 left. I was like, man, you know what? I'm going to train my dog. And me and my pops actually got into it. He was like, "Boy, you don't need to train that dog. There's so much other stuff that you can do." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right, but I'll figure that out later. I want to do this with my dog." And it's funny. Still to this day, I poke fun at him. I'm like, "Hey, you remember that?" And he just kind of looks at me, but I'm like, sometimes you really have to go out on a limb, and believe in yourself. I wanted to train my dog. I didn't know any of this was possible. I just wanted to train my dog, and I think that's why a lot of people, like, they resonate with what I do, is because it's genuine. They can see I really enjoy the process. I really enjoy working with the animals, getting out there, making them better, pushing them to see how far they can go. It's just they can tell the passion from it.
So when you went and got the training, um, it's a story that you put on your YouTube where you said you turned $500 into $100,000.
Mhm.
Like, explain that to the people that's watching.
Well, so Rocco was it was let's say about 600. So Rocco was about $100, and then the initial payment that I had to pay to get into the dog training was 500. He was gonna let me have a monthly payment. So it worked my schedule. I got paid every 2 weeks. He was cool with it, and we were out there for probably about 3 4 weeks. And the decoy who was there before me, him and the head trainer, they got into it. So we didn't have a decoy, and we didn't have nobody to work the dogs. So he asked me because I was there every single day that they would let me, and I'd get in the suit, get in the sleeve, work the dogs, and basically I was doing it for free. So then he told me, he was like, "Hey, if you really want to learn how to train dogs, like, come out here. You don't have to pay anymore, but you got to work these dogs." I'm like, "All right, cool." And I had a full-time job, so I didn't really care at the time, and just started learning more and more and more and needing less and less guidance. And then after he and I had a little falling out, a disagreement on some funds,
Mm-hmm.
I started my own business. And the very first year made over 100K. And it's just been going up ever since then.
That's what it usually be, a little falling out over some money.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, he really shot himself in the foot because we were doing everything. Jamil and I would be out there, dogs would come in and dogs would leave, and he would never even see the dog. And all he had to do was collect money. And I think it got to his head because people were starting to come out for me versus him.
Uh,
And I think he just
Ego.
had to, yeah, the
It,
ego got into it, and he wanted to, I guess, put his foot down and show me where my place was. And I was like, nah, bro, I do way too much, for it to go that way. I respect everything you do. I appreciate the opportunity that you did give me, but you can't you're not gonna talk down to me like I'm just a second class citizen when I'm doing literally everything out here, from training all the dogs, editing all the videos,
mm,
posting everything. Like, people aren't coming out because of your dogs. They're coming out because of Rocco. They're coming out because of what I'm doing with my dogs. So I think it just got to him, and but hey, wish him the best. But I ain't got nothing else really to say about him.
hey, and I love that story, man, because we preach that over here, man. Like, sometimes you just have to go out on a whim. You got to get out of your comfort zone. Like, it's so many people that get used to that 9 to 5 and don't know that you got to go through just a little bit of struggle, and then you'll enjoy the benefits, reap the rewards of the benefits, man. And like, hearing stories like that, that's what really like inspired me, because I didn't really know like the true in depth of it. I just seen, like from your story, you was just like, yo, I turned $500 into $100,000, but
Yeah.
basically you turned it into more than that. You turned it into a brand that nobody could take from you. I mean, it's gonna get bigger than that. I don't want to ruin the interview, but so you got Rocco. $500. You went through the training. You got with this guy. You learned. Y'all fell out. You started Iron Sharp, and you got Rocco. You training him. How did America's Top Dog come along?
So America's Top Dog was still when I was at the other place,
Okay.
and somebody had literally sent me a Facebook ad. They were like, "Hey, the ultimate canine training competition or something." It was something along the lines, the ultimate obstacle course for dogs. And people were like, "Bro, you need to sign up for this. You need to sign up for this." And I was like, "Man, all right." So I just submitted it, and honestly forgot. I forgot I even submitted the application. And about a week or so later, I get a random call from like the California area code. And I'm like, hello? They're like, hey, this is da 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 from America's Top Dog. And I'm like, huh? Oh, snap. I had a little conversation with them. They were like, hey, can you set up a Zoom call with us? We had about 2 Zoom calls that we did with them. They were like, well, we like you. We like your dog. We like everything that they can do. Can you get out to California at this date and this date? We were like, hey, yes, sir. And me and my pops, we drove out there, and Jamil came as well. Me and my pops and Jamil, we drove out there, and it's pretty funny because the training group that we were at, they literally told me before we left, "Hey, don't embarrass us." And I was like, "Y'all really don't think I know what I'm doing? Y'all really don't think my dogs are that good? But my dogs are the best dogs out here. So I don't understand why. How would you think I was going to embarrass you when I even got to the point where they wanted me? Like
But
if
they
I
not
was
even
gonna,
asking for you no more, man. Like, come on,
yeah."
man. What did you mean embarrassing you?
So that kind of bothered me a little bit, but I'm used to sports, so it's like, hey, when I'm out on the field, the people in the crowd, I don't even hear them. When I'm on the track, I don't hear them. So it's the same concept. I was giving them more value than I should have at the time. But we went on America's Top Dog, and I put a prong on Rocco because Rocco he has a little bit of personality. He's kind of like me. He's a little rough around the edges sometimes, but if I put that prong on him, Rocco is like perfect. Like he's not gonna make no mistakes. He's not gonna do nothing. But he's also not gonna be Rocco. So I put the prong on him. I looked at Jamil, and I said, you know what? I'm just gonna trust my dog. Like I'm gonna let Rocco be Rocco because I don't want him to be a robot. They didn't bring us out here because he's a robot. They brought him out here because he's Rocco. So took the prong off on him, and he was perfectly fine. And it was pretty cool because once we started getting through like the photos and the b-roll and stuff like that, they were literally like saying, hey, can you take the prong collars off, can you take the e-collars off of these dogs, like we don't want that to be on TV.
Okay.
And the cops in there, they was scratching and shaking their head like, nah, my dog ain't gonna do nothing if I ain't got that on. And I was like, oh cool, you want me to take the flat collar off too? So it just kind of worked out in our favor, the way that we train and the relationship that we have with the dog, and it reflected from the television show.
So when you got there, was winning the only thing on your mind? Was you like, man, I know what Rocco got, or did you like gauge the competition and be like,
I mean, I didn't. I was still super green, so I still didn't even know really too much about anything. I just knew my dog could do everything on the obstacle course,
right?
and I was like, hey, if somebody's out here is faster than me, hey, they just got to be faster than me. I know what my dog can do, and I was really only worried about my dog. I don't know if you heard, like, they know the guy's name, Canine Duke. It's a Doberman,
Mm-hmm.
but he had 200,000 followers at the time, and they've been training for 8 years and blah blah blah, and like everybody else has been 10, 15 years with their eighth dog and all this stuff, and we go out there with my little $150 dog or $100 dog, and we're out there in my cowboy
How
boots,
many years you was in?
man, I three.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, let realistically probably one. Those first 2 years I didn't know what I was doing. But we went out there, and I knew if I went through something, he was gonna follow me. He's just that kind of dog. He absolutely hates water, but I knew if I got in, he was gonna follow me. But everything else was honestly pretty simple exercises because we've been doing that stuff his whole life. I thought it was just cool for him to jump through a car window. So I would literally downstay him outside of the car. I'd get in, start it up. Come on, bro, let's go. And then he'd just jump in. So everything that we had to do on the show, we had already did it just in a smaller, environment. But it's just communication at the end of the day. So people are like, man, how'd you train for this and how'd you train for that? Well, I told my dog to bring me something, and the ball's hanging there. I pointed and he brought it to me. I tell him to jump over something, I point, and he's going to jump over it. It's just communication at the end of the day. So that part, I knew we had that in the bag. Like that was, that was gonna be butter. But then we went to that drug detection part, and we had no clue whatsoever on no drug detection. And I think they actually set the show up that way because they realized the civilians would not have as much experience
Right.
in that part, so they knew the police officers would have the advantage in that area.
Did
So
how did Rocco perform in that area right there?
oh, I mean, he was in odor, but I didn't know what I was doing.
Oh,
So
okay,
it's just
okay.
like he was telling me, "Hey, it's over here," but I didn't know how to read them. And
Oh,
at
okay.
that point, I
So
we were
that was
done.
basically to get the drug handler dogs so they could compete in with the overall competition, like the points.
Yeah, so they had the first round was an obstacle course. Then the second
Y'all
round they
killed
called it.
that. I think I
Yeah,
seen that, a clip of that.
that was easy. And then they had something called the boneyard. It was like 6 or 7 rooms, and then there was like 5 or 6 odors that you had to find in like 5 minute time. So it's like not only do you have to search, but you have to find it in the fastest amount of time. And yeah, I just had no clue what I was doing at that point.
And then that it was just those two things.
Well, then if you passed that round, so the top two, so it was the top four from the first round, then it was the top two, and then there was a final round. And the final round was another obstacle course. And
You
my
killed that.
buddy, oh, we didn't get to compete in that one.
Oh, you got to the second round.
Yeah, and we didn't find no drugs. So
Oh,
we got 86. We got out of there. They said you're out
but
of
you made
there.
it to ESPN.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we had one of the more impressive runs. I mean, and it's a black guy, pit bull in cowboy boots, so it's like it looks good visually. And yeah, we were on ESPN. I was actually at the hospital, not in the hospital. I worked there before, and my buddy was like, "Hey, bro, I seen you on ESPN." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Yeah, you was on." It was I forget. It was two Spanish guys, a son and a dad. I forget what they
Yeah,
called
Son
it.
of the Dad. Yeah, I remember that. I forgot their names, but yeah, from Miami, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And he's on there. He was like, "Bro, look," and he pulls up the clip, and I was just like, "This is crazy." And then we was on TMZ. That was crazy. So I mean, it was just again, it was just one of those genuine times. I had no clue none of that was gonna happen. We just went out and had fun with our dogs.
Is that what blew up your influential, like your YouTube and your Instagram, those two events right there, as far as getting your
So
exposure on social media?
I think it helped a little bit for Instagram, but you know, I didn't leverage it as much as I should because I didn't have, I'm still getting there, like the business sense to the side of this. I just like the dogs. So I didn't really like leverage it as probably as well as I should have. But
I
we
think that's
didn't.
how everybody starts. They just post what they like, and then like it's like, oh snap, this is going somewhere.
Yep, yep, yep. And then we actually didn't really go crazy on YouTube until we left the other place we were at. And Jamil, my buddy, he was afraid of dogs before he came out. He was like, his first dog that he took a bite from was actually Rocco. And he was like, I just trusted that you could call your dog off if anything went wrong. And, he's one of my good friends still to this day. I mean, it's all been almost, I say, like 12 years now that we've been rocking with each other. And it's funny because a lot of people that, like you said, most people in the dog world, they're going to have a falling out because over something stupid. And it's like my buddy Dewan, he was like, man, you still cool with Twin? I was like, yep. He said, yep. He said, y'all started off as friends before y'all got into the dog world. And that's why y'all are still solid because it's bigger than just the dogs. And it's like, yeah, it definitely should be bigger than just the dogs. That's not the only reason why I want to be cool with somebody. I trust Jamil. So getting getting past all of that, we Jamil was like, "Hey, I'm gonna rock with you. I'm gonna post 3 times a day."
Mm-hmm.
I think he had 1,500 subscribers on YouTube, and he was like, "Hey, just send me every video, and I'm gonna post." And I was like, "All right, bet." So we would do a video, and that's what he did. And then one day he sent me a message, and he was like, "Hey, bro, we're up to like 3,000 subscribers." I'm like, "What the fuck?" And then he was like, "Bro, we're up to 5,000." I'm like, "What is going on?" And then it was to 10, and then it was 50, then it was literally we went from 1,100 subscribers to over 100,000 on one video. And then we just, people started going back and seeing what we did, and they liked it and started sharing. And again, we didn't expect none of this.
So on your channel, I call it an obstacle course, but where you train the dogs at, is that on your property?
Yeah, so it depends which one it is, but yes, with the big wall
Yeah, the
and
one
like,
where you got the wall and
yeah,
it's like it kind of looks like balance. It kind of really looks like a military obstacle course, if you ask me.
yeah, that's my front yard. That's what I walk out in the morning and see.
Okay.
Yeah, we gotta. I want. That's a basic version. I want some like 2, 3 story obstacles, some fun stuff. I want to get a zip line for the dogs having to go down. We gonna put it all together here soon, man.
So how did you link up with Fit Bully?
So about 3, almost 4 years ago, he just sent me a message one day, and he was like, "Hey, I'm a videographer. I like what you do with the dogs. I want to come shoot a video for you." And I was like, "All right." I didn't know him from Adam. And we've had other videographers hit us up, and they come out, and they take 2, 3 months for a video, and it wasn't a good experience. So I honestly had no clue who he was, what he could do, or anything. And he came out, chopped it up, and he's always been the same kind of person he is today. And he just made, honestly made me question things. He was like, "Bro, what are you guys doing out here? Y'all are just sitting around waiting. Y'all, when's the next person coming? Well, not till 6. Well, what are y'all doing until 6?" So it was a whole thing. And by the time we left that night, I think I had about photos and videos from that session. And I was like, "Oh, I like this guy." And
Already done,
then,
yeah.
yeah, he don't play. I mean, he's definitely about his business. And
Did he have
after,
dogs then, or was it just like, yo, I'm just coming out here just a videographer?
I think he had Zara at the time, but he didn't have ego, none of them. He just literally wanted to shoot a video for me because he said he saw how much fun I had with the dogs. And I think we did a couple more videos after that, and it was probably maybe, I want to say, 2 weeks, maybe a month after meeting him. Butch and I actually got into our falling out,
Oh, okay.
and I mean, it just kind of happened at the right time. I
So it
don't
was all
know.
around that time.
Yeah, it was all around that time I met Trev. I was already I was already knowing that he really didn't fuck with me too much no more. Like, he was just being weird about stuff, not telling me dogs were in, not, I had to ask for my money. I'm like, they said they sent it 2 days ago. Oh yeah. I'm like, so you just wasn't gonna pay me? So like, just like, I had to ask for it. Like, you knew that wasn't yours, but okay. So I mean, I just knew I was already going out, but I didn't have enough confidence in myself that I could do it without him. So I justified a lot of stuff. I let a lot of stuff go because I didn't have the belief. And then, getting around Trevor, it's like you can't have any doubts when you're around that guy there. He's super sure about everything that he says. And it helped me get to the point where it's like, okay, I can do this on my own. And then, I started my own little business, and Sean Cotton from Say Cheese TV is one of Jamil's good friends, and he was actually one of my first board and train clients on my own. We trained Grenade.
Okay.
So, one thing led to another. Had to get some land, and we got the land, and now we're just putting it all together, man.
So when you got with them, because you was like and that's the difference between somebody that's a dog person and somebody that likes dogs. Cause like when I see some of the videos, you out in the pond, you out in whatever that is, you out there like with your
Hmm.
cowboy boots. You don't care, like you out there knee deep in water with the dogs, teaching them how to swim, whatever. Y'all done moved now to the pools or whatever. It's like everything that y'all do, your life is built around the dogs mainly. I know that you're a father as well. I enjoy seeing your daughters interacting with the dogs and but you had the importance of Rocco. I remember I think Rocco had a litter with Amir.
Yeah,
I mean, it
man.
wasn't a planned litter, but I remember you were saying like you always wanted, because you know Rocco's getting old now, and
Yeah.
you always wanted like a baby off of Rocco, and it just kind of like happened. But can you kind of explain how like you know how you and the former guy, y'all fell out. It was basically like his jealousy over you, and Trev, he basically entrusted you with his dog that was supposed to be mated to his dogs for the program, and ended up Rocco impregnated it, and y'all didn't fall out. Can you tell us the importance of basically honesty and being like upfront and loyalty and stuff like that? Especially in this game where we don't see that much. We always see kennel partners turning on each other, coming to YouTube, talking noise about each other, all of that. So.
Yeah, no, I mean that's and it's even funny you say that because when it happened, so Amira was in heat. Rocco literally chewed the crate, like the outside of the crate, and broke her out. Like she was locked up. They were, it wasn't like, oh, we were irresponsible. I mean, we left Rocco out, but he ain't never chewed into a crate before. So it's like I didn't even know that was a thing, right? So after that happened, I'm like, man, maybe he's blowing dust. Maybe he doesn't even have anything in the tank. Like, hoping actually like he's sterile at the time, right? And I think maybe 40 days go by, and then you start seeing her titties come out, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta have a conversation. So I even hit him up one day, and I was like, hey Trev. He was like, what up? Let's talk about something else. And he was like, you got something else? I was like, yep. I said, I think Amir and Rocco hooked up. And he was like, he paused for a second. He was like, is she okay? And I said, yeah. And he was like, okay, well, you got to take care of the pups. I'm not doing anything to help you with that. You just make sure the dog is taken care of, and we'll move on. And I was like, huh? I was like, okay, because I had a falling out with a dude over way less than this, and I was doing way more for that. And he was just like, Stan, it's not. I mean, it's not your fault. Like, he's not happy about it, but as long as the dog is taken care of, then what's there to really be upset about? So I mean, it was pretty good experience. It went differently than I thought it would,
Right.
and because like Trev always says, like he really don't care about the little stuff that's going on right now because of where his goals and his plans are. So yeah, everything happens. It may not be a part of the plan, but it's not gonna stop the plan either. And like you said, it worked out. I got some Rocco blood that I can keep around. Um, but it was a very interesting experience for sure, and it definitely built the trust and the relationship between Trev and I as well. And he's like you said, he's been the same. He hadn't treated me differently since. Um, if anything, he's just expected more out of us.
Right, right. Because I definitely commended that, especially with you watch these here, especially these here online kennels, and I hate to say it, especially black content creators as far as in the dog space, as far as like basically on YouTube in general.
Mhm.
It's always like a public fallout, a public spat, then it gets messy, and then it's like, we got to come to YouTube for this here back and forth. And to see that, it really, I already was watching y'all. I already was a fan of both of y'all's movement, and also Better Best as well.
Yeah,
I was a fan of all three of y'all, and then once I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, this real. Like this real. Like this is not just like for the camera. Like they really trust each other, and I guess like you the trainer in the situation, because I seen Trev lately in one video where he put the sleeve on. He's so strong he yanked it out of Ego's mouth.
yeah. He's getting a little bit of slack for that. Apparently, I had a guy call me. He was like, "Hey, you might want to tell your boy to take it down." I say, hey, "That nigga's not taking that
Yeah,
down." I just
he
like,
not.
yeah, it's like he's one of the most I don't give a people use
Yeah,
ever gonna be. He's not taking that down. I mean, and it's like you can say anything about the video, but the dog hits the ground, ego hits the ground, and comes right back.
yeah.
Like
That's what they
he
do.
wasn't hurt. Like,
I
and we
think a lot of
explained the
people
reason.
forget that these are dogs.
Yeah, they're an animal at the end of the day. I mean, as cute as they are, as much time as we spend with them, they are an animal at the end of the day. You always have to keep that in mind.
So, is there any particular breed that you prefer over? Because I know that you train all type of different dogs. I done seen you with German Shepherds. You say you got your dog Boots.
Yep.
What Boots is a collie?
Australian Shepherd.
Australian Shepherd. And I noticed like when you have like different dogs, it's kind of like you can see their different personality through the screen. If I'm saying it right, like Boots,
Mhm.
like it's like Boots is like real sharp, like on every command. You bring Rocco out. He's older, but you know he's still active. He'll still go get the pillow. He'll still do that. And then you'll have the general. The general's being the general, going around looking ratting and stuff like that. But you can still recall them,
Yep.
but you still see that bundle of energy in them. And you got the cat. You know what I'm saying? So, and you got little Rocco.
Yep. A little hero.
Yeah, little hero. So, do you see different personalities in dogs, or is it just what the trainer brings out of them?
No, I mean you're definitely gonna have personality in the dogs, and then it's gonna be what you bring out of them as well. Um, I like a motivated dog. The breed, it matters to an extent, but if you have a motivated dog, you can get them to do anything. We've had some dachshunds that look good. We've had some mini doodles that look good. One of my favorite corsos that I've worked was a corso named Copper, and he was a big boy, but he only learned how to move fast. So when he was doing commands, like he still looked crisp. And yes, at that point, it is the training because that was the only way he ever got rewarded. If he did anything slow or sloppy, he didn't get rewarded for it. He started to learn, okay, the faster I do things, the more value that I'm going to get out of the work, basically.
Speaking of the Corso, y'all had a Corso. I forgot his name, but it was from a professional basketball player had it.
You talking about Deuce?
Yeah, yeah, I guess that's his name. Yeah, but his back legs was shaking. Was that coming from like bad breeding, or was that nervousness?
So I think it's a little bit of both. I think it was more or less the genetics. I think his back end just really never got developed.
Oh,
I forget the backstory exactly, but I think he was like more of like a puppy mill kind of a dog
mhm.
that didn't really get a lot of exposure and stuff when he was young, so he didn't develop that muscle tone that he needed.
Is it fixable? I mean, it's not dysplasia or nothing, is it? Or is it?
That I'm not 100% sure, but I mean, you can try to strengthen the back end, but I mean, sometimes it's behind the eight ball. You're gonna be doing a lot of work.
So, did you train him, or they better best?
That was Jamarcus's.
Okay. Because I always would wonder what happened to it, because when it first came, compared to Trev's dogs, it was like it was unsure, and it was just like an unsure dog. And most Corsos that I know are like, confident. You know what I'm saying? They don't play. And I just kept seeing him shake, and I was like, yo, is this a good dog? Because a lot of people around here just get got, man. It be these backyard breeders, and like they'll just go and feel like, okay, well, I can get me a fit bully dog, and then I can take it to this dog, and then I can just make a whole bunch of money, when it doesn't really work like that.
Definitely don't work like that. But yeah, I
So
mean, there's a lot of bad breeding going on. People just doing it for the money. They're not breeding good dogs. They're not socializing the puppies when they're young. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can go down the list on, but you just make sure whenever you are looking for a dog, like do some research, man. Don't just take what people say at face value. Go see the dog in different environments. Bring your own tests for the dogs. Like when I went to pick out Boots, we went up to Arkansas, and he actually wasn't even the dog that I had liked out of the litter. So when we went up there, I was looking at him. I was like, all right, yeah, he looks good. But the thing that got me with him is Emily, she had a little boy and she was running around with him and she just throws him up and he lands in this puddle of like a water. And like I looked at him, he just shook it off and came right out. And I was like, okay, I like that. I had my blank gun. I shot the gun. He looked at it, looked at me, and just was like, all right, and walked off. I was like, okay, cool, two for two. And then the little boy was chasing the little boy, and he ran up the stairs, and all of the other puppies stopped at the bottom of the stairs. And Boot now, and he wasn't Boot before, but he just ran right up the stairs. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take that one right there. Like he's already doing pretty much everything that I need him to do later on in life at 8 weeks old without any training, and the others didn't. It's like why start behind the eight ball? Like why start behind the curve?
people in the chat, if you don't know, Yeah, definitely. Drop Iron Sharp K9 in the chat. Make sure y'all go subscribe to this here channel. But what he's basically talking about, shooting the cap gun and all of that, is he's looking for what he thinks is the best dog out the litter, and the best dog that fits him and what he's got to do. So Boots passed the test, so he was like, yo, we're going to bring Boots on home.
Yep. And then I think it was about a 5.5, 6 hour car ride back. He didn't get car sick once. Didn't pee in the bag. Like he just has always been a good little dog. It's like, man, I couldn't even ask for a better little pup.
So is that something that you just wanted, an Australian Shepherd, or was it just like, yo, I'm going to go check him out?
So I got with Trevor, and he was like, "Yeah, pit bulls. That's not going to be the moneymaker. You limit yourself with having those kind of dogs,
Mm-hmm.
just because like your reachability, right? I mean, yeah, I think I'll always have a blockhead in my pack, but for most people, they're afraid of them.
Yeah.
So it's like the stigma, black guy, da da da. It's like, okay, let's just make it a little easier on us. And I wanted a working dog, but I didn't want a mal or anything like that. So I looked, and then I don't know if you heard of John Canine. He's down in Florida. He has a border collie named Maker, and Maker is probably one of the best trained dogs you will ever see. He has like 150 commands. He can tell the dog to fake pee on you. Like he got communication with that dog, boy. But he inspired me to get like a herder. So I didn't want to go border collie and copy him completely. So I was like, man, let me go Australian Shepherd. Same kind of thing. And it was a red merle, and red's my favorite color. So I was like, man, it just kind of worked. And then we did some stuff with Stevie, XLTX Bullies, and she's like, hey, Emily just had a litter. I was like, well, send me some pictures. She sent the pictures. I was like, ooh, I like these dogs. They look good. And I wanted a pretty dog. I wanted a dog that would be, appealing to more of the masses, so we can do like commercials, more television shows and stuff like that. And when you walk into a building, everybody's not like, oh my God, you got a dangerous, vicious dog.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, man, y'all don't know. Buddha still nail y'all. Like, he's pretty. I mean, he looked the way he looked, but if I tell him to go get active, he gonna get on your
I
ass.
kind of think now the stigma, I think more with the bullies and them being micros and they doing all that stuff to them now. I think the stigma is more easing up off them than when they was just known as pit bulls. I think the stigma is easing up, but only thing with them is the mortality rate is so fickle with them. Like you might have one for 10, you might have one for 3, 2. Like I just had a story about I had adopted a bully, Kiki, a female, and she bit into the air conditioning unit and 86 herself. Yeah. Which, I mean, after watching y'all videos, I kind of know what it was, because, like, they're high energy, and if they don't, get that energy out, they'll just bite on anything and pull on anything. And
Yep.
she got on, like, that black pad, the black pad that covers the wires and stuff, and
Yep.
bit through it, and hey,
Yeah,
she
that
went to
was
meet her maker, you feel me? But
damn. My condolences, man. That's a hard one there.
yeah, but ever since it was more hard well, nah, it might have been more hard on me because the kids is basically like, yo, they want another one now because they was kind of like real young then.
Yeah.
But I was just like, shh. And then after that, it was like, yo, we got to get this air conditioner back working. So, but I mean, I always wanted one after that. But like my thing is more like pet home. But seeing what y'all go through like on a daily basis, it's almost like you become a part of y'all's dogs, whether y'all knew that or not. Like, um, but we found out the unfortunate news about Ego. It was like, damn, man. Like even now, like I'll put comments, prayers for Ego in there. You know what I mean? Because and even though Trev be like basically like he don't really worry about it. Like he don't care. Like we gonna move on to the next. But I'm like, yo, we done seen him, we done seen Ego, and we done seen Tron and all of them. And I like Baloo, but he don't like Baloo.
I don't like Baloo.
I think Baloo is the perfect dog, like for my temperament. Like just sit
Oh boy.
around, chill. You know what I mean? We ain't doing nothing. We just chilling. We just look like we'll do something.
Nah, and I mean, and that's the thing. Like, if you get a dog for your lifestyle, and that's what I tell everybody. Like, don't get a dog because you saw somebody else with it. Because if you ain't gonna put in the work, that dog's gonna be more of a headache than anything. And if you do want a couch potato, like, get you one.
Yeah,
Like, there's nothing wrong with it. But me personally, I want a dog that I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go run 5 miles. Come on, let's go. And they like, okay, what are we doing after that?
yeah, you
Like, I
still
don't
got
want a
that
dog
athlete
that's,
in you.
yeah,
Yeah, you
I
think.
got. I don't think that's ever going away. I'm always going. Need to get active
I
a
used
little
to
bit.
think that too, man. But when I hit like 40, the athlete, it's kind of like the mortality thing, like you said. Once that mortality hits, and you like, oh, I can't do what I used to do.
Yeah,
I
no,
kind of
I
gave it
feel
up. But
you.
yeah,
Nah,
I show.
I need me an active dog, and I don't personally like a big dog. I want a smaller dog, that's more compact.
Uh huh.
Yeah, and they can do a little bit more, have a little bit more. This cat's got sharp teeth too.
Them cats, man.
Yeah, but yeah, I like a smaller dog. When we went to New York with Boot, like he fit right under the seat. He was out of the way. Like it's just a whole lot easier. Why are
Yeah,
you biting
I'm
me?
kind of conflicted on what the next dog I'm gonna get, if it's gonna be a bully or a Frenchie, like one of them. I like those Jack Russells, but that's a bunch of energy right there.
Forever
Yeah,
until
yeah, it's a
they're
bunch of energy.
gone. Man.
But yeah, man, I'm glad that you came through and spent time with us. And is there
Yeah,
anything that you could say, like, to motivate people as far as like life? Because like you took that $500 investment, you got notoriety, and like you say, back then you didn't know how to capitalize off of being on ESPN and being on Top Dog as far as like in the social media realm. But social media ended up finding you again, and now you prominent out there. You kicking out content daily on multiple platforms. You going to dog shows. You doing all this interviews and stuff like that. So do you feel? What can you tell somebody out here that maybe they not so much into dogs, that could help them with the pursuit of the goals in their life?
and you just have to want to be better. Again, I didn't know dogs was going to be my avenue to being better, but I made a decision that I had to do more for my kids. And when the opportunities did, present themselves, I just made the most of every opportunity. So whatever you are trying to do in life, if you want to sing, rap, musician, make beats, make content, whatever it is, just put in the work and don't care about the scoreboard. Just keep hooping. Like, I was never looking up at the scoreboard, and then when you do look up finally at the end of the game, you're like, oh damn, we won that one. But don't worry about the scoreboard. The score is going to change. Um, you're going to hit some game winners. You're going to miss some chances. You're going to miss some opportunities. But the thing is, you just can't quit. On those dark days where I didn't want to work no more dogs because I'm just stressed out because nobody's listening or whatever it is, like it was just me not quitting and just getting up again, doing it the next day, doing it the next day. Um, Now I would definitely say, have a plan so you can measure your metrics, because I think a lot of times we get so used to the grind and we're just nickel and dime, no, boom, 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 and we don't realize how far we have came because we're not looking at the mile markers. We're just putting our head down and staying in the work. So make sure that you do have some goals that you are setting for yourself, and have some people around you that's going to hold you accountable to that. So it's not just saying, oh, I want to do this by this time. Like, have somebody who's going to have something like, hey, if you don't do this by this time, like, there is consequences for that. Because if not, you're just going to be aimlessly going through life, hurting more people than you could help. Because at the end of the day, the people around you, they need you to be the best that you can be. My kids, they need me to be my best that I can be. My wife needs me to be. My parents, all of these people, like eventually, your parents take care of you. I want to flip the script to be able to take care of them when they get old enough. So be the best version of yourself and realize that it's not an overnight process. It does take time.
Stand from Iron Sharp K now, ladies and gentlemen. And he be gaming too, man. So we gotta we gotta get on the sticks. I appreciate you taking the time out, man, to talk to us, man. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe up, check out his journey, and man, next time I'm in Fort Worth, man, we gotta link up.
Yeah, that's the bet, boss.
Appreciate you, man.
Hey, likewise. Appreciate you having us on, man. We got to do another part two. We got to get Jamil on here.
Yeah, man, we gotta do part two. Get your partner Jamil on here so we can talk. Definitely, man. We'll set that up. We'll set that
All
up.
right. Sound like a play, man. Y'all stay safe, man.
Hey, man, appreciate you.
All right, boss. We'll talk to.
All right. Stan from Iron Sharp K9, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to Rich and the moderators for putting his name in the chat. And shout out to y'all, another successful episode of the Skinnosphere podcast, kicking it back off. And yeah, man, let's try to do better with each other and be there for our families and what's really important. And then let's see how that skyrocketed us up in society. Salute to everybody that came through. I am Mr. Skinny the Don on the Mr. Skinny TV channel, on the Skinnosphere podcast. And we out. Always remember, man, it's not about the amount of money that you make that defines you. It's about your relationship with the Creator. With that being said, thanks for your time. Time is one thing you can't get back, and you chose to spend it watching.